Hey everyone, this is Wrecker, back with another build video. So the one that I'm sharing with you guys today is a really good explosive skill build. It's very easy to put together, we aren't using any hard to get pieces, so it's really easy to make. I actually made this build quite a few months ago as I was bored and thought why not make a lazy mortar build. The reason I say lazy is because with this setup, you can simply sit in cover and keep spamming your skills one after the other. So yeah, I'd say the damage is a bit overkill for heroic, but it works just as good in legendary content. So with that out of the way, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's begin. Okay, so starting off with the specialization, as usual, we're running the demolitionist spec because that's really necessary because the skill that we're running, the artillery turret, is the skill that only unlocks with this specialization. So you have to run this spec because otherwise this build won't work the same. So other than the mortar turret, we do get a bunch of other perks that are really handy, especially if you're running in a group. So starting off with the fragmentation grenade, it deals damage but also causes bleed to the enemies. So that's really handy because the talents we are running does need status effect to trigger. So that's really helpful. Then we have 10% increased explosive damage. That's really helpful as well because this attribute, explosive damage, is not really easy to get when it comes to minor attributes. So you have to gather it somehow with some other source, right? So that's really handy. Then we get 20% burn resistance. That can be helpful. Then we have group members gain 5% damage targets out of cover. That's really helpful because that's multiplicative damage we are giving to the whole team, 5% each. So that's really helpful. Then we have the last one I like to mention, that's ignore explosions can only trigger once every 60 seconds. That's insanely good because especially in legendary missions or any legendary content, those grenades can actually kill you because we are not running a bunch of armor. Not at all actually. So this can actually save your life and it can trigger after 60 seconds. That's really good to have. Okay, so starting off with the weapons, I am personally using Scorpio and the test subject. The weapons don't really matter because as I said, it's just basically a lazy build where you just sit in cover and keep spamming your skills one after the other. But if you want to, like for me personally, I'm running Scorpio primarily because only time if I really need to is if I need to put on status effect or dissipate or disrupt enemies, or if some enemy gets too close to me, if I'm sitting in cover and if I need to kill something, that's the only time I'm using it. But if you want to boost your damage even more, I would highly recommend running capacitor because that way you can keep your stacks up and just shoot the weapon every now and then just to keep them at a constant 40 stacks and get even more skill damage. So that's really helpful. Or test subject, that's a really good alternative as well. It boosts your weapon damage as well, so use what you prefer. I'm personally running Scorpio and the test subject. Okay, so as for the sidearm, I personally am running the TDI card custom. The only reason for that is because, as you can see, we are already at skill tier 6. And with the talent that I'm running on it, Future Perfect, if you kill an enemy with this pistol, you're gonna get overcharged. So that's really good to have. So that's the only reason I'm running this pistol, but you can run any other pistol with this talent and you should be good to go. Okay, so starting off with the gear pieces, we are running 3-piece Empress International. The first piece gets a skill health 10%, then we get 10% skill damage and then 10% skill efficiency. So these are really good attributes to have in any skill build, not only explosive one. So I would highly recommend running at least a few pieces of Empress International to get the most amount of skill damage, skill haste, efficiencies, all that good stuff when it comes to skills. So 3 pieces for that, and then of course we are running a skill tier. That's the same for all pieces, and also the attributes skill damage, skill haste, that's the same thing for all pieces. So simply run skill damage, skill haste, and slot in the skill haste mods in there, and that way you can get your skills back even faster. Although you won't even have to because the talents we are running in the setup will get your skills back on their own, which I will show you in a bit. So these are the attributes we're running on the mask. The second piece that I'm running for the same gear set, the brand set, is the knee pads. Again, same attributes, skill tier, skill damage, skill haste. As for the last piece I'm running for the same brand set is the chest piece, but it's a named chest piece. It's called Caesar's Guard. Same attributes, skill tier, skill damage, skill haste. Then we have a mod for skill haste as well. And the talent that it comes with, it's called Perfectly Skilled. Skill kills have 30% chance to reset skill cooldowns. Now 30% may sound low, but with this setup, you will get it triggered more often than usual. Because as per my testing, I have been using this from a long time, and this talent is really good. Of course, you can run some other talents if you want to gain more damage, like kinetic momentum or maybe glass cannon. Those are really good alternatives. But for me, as I mentioned earlier, it's just basically a lazy build where you don't have to wait for your skills or do anything. Just keep spamming your skills. Once you kill an enemy, you'll get your skills back, one or the other. So that's really good and fun to have, right? So that's the primary reason I'm running this chest for the same brand set. Okay, so for the gloves, I'm running the Wyvern Wear because that brand set does gives us 10% skill damage, same attributes, skill tier, skill haste, skill damage, and you're good to go. Okay, so for the backpack, this is a really good one. It's a named backpack from Channelite. So not only are we getting a brand bonus of 15% explosive damage, so that's really good to have, but also we're getting a named talent that it comes with. But before that, same thing, skill tier, skill damage, skill haste, and then we have a mod for skill haste as well. The talent that it comes with, it's called Perfect Shock and Awe. Applying a status effect to an enemy increases total skill damage and repair by 20% for 27 seconds. And by the way, it does keeps refreshing. It doesn't have any cooldown, so it doesn't mean that once the 27 seconds are over, it's gonna go away. No, as long as you keep hitting enemies with the status effect, it's gonna keep refreshing. So basically, you can keep this up while combat all the time, right? And for that, you might be thinking, how are we applying status effects, right? So no, even though I do have the Scorpio as my primary weapon, I can apply status effect with that, but I have made sure we don't have to use any weapon at all. So that's how lazy this build is, right? You can basically hit any enemy with your mortar turret and it's gonna apply bleed. So it doesn't matter if you kill the enemy or not with your mortar hit, it will apply bleed effect on them no matter what. So you just have to make sure you're hitting some enemies somehow, so you're getting this buff. So that's really good to have. It is how how good this whole setup synergizes so well all together. So this is the backpack I'm running. Okay, so for the last piece, we're running an exotic holster. It's called Waveform. It's really easy to farm. It's not very hard to get. So the attributes that it comes with is skill tier, skill damage, skill haste. So it goes with the same thing we're running on all pieces. The talent that it comes with, it says generate a stack of 3% skill damage on one of your skills every second, capping at 10 stacks. So basically on full stacks, you're getting 30% skill damage on one of your skills. But then it says after 10 seconds at the cap, the stacks transfer to your other skill. The process then repeats, right? So what's happening is every 10 seconds, that 30% skill damage keeps switching from your one skill to the other. So no matter which one, your first skill or the second, that 30% skill damage will keep applying on one of your skills all the time, right? So that's insanely good to have as an attribute, as a talent, right? So I would highly recommend running this holster in this setup. Okay, so coming down to the skills, of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are running the artillery turret. Again, this only unlocks with the demolitionist specialization. As for the mods, we are running the mods that do unlock with the specialization. As you can see here, 10% damage. Then we have an extra mortar ammo mod, and then I have slotted in the third one for skill haste, because then again, you have to make sure your skills get back as soon as possible, no matter through talents or attributes. Just put in skill haste in any remaining slots and it'll be fun to use. As for the stats you can see here on the right, We have only an 8-second cooldown. That's a base number. Again, all these numbers you see here, the duration, the damage, and the radius and stuff, these are base numbers without any talents or buffs active. So these numbers will be higher when you're actually using the build, right, in combat. But as a general stat, as you can see, the damage as a base, we are running 3.6 million, 10 ammo. Our blast radius is almost 7 meters. Then we have bleed damage. That doesn't really matter because once you're hitting the full damage here, 3.6 as a base, you can almost, one-shot anything when it comes to heroic content. For legendary, it does take a few more hits, but still, with all the talents buffs active, it will help your mortar to keep hitting as hard as possible. So that's really good to have. The duration, that doesn't really matter because your mortar will basically keep up as long as you have ammo in there, right? So we have 10. So as soon as you have 10 ammo expensed, it will reset. So that's really good to have. Again, goes without saying, it's a tier 6 mortar. So we're getting plus 90% damage, 420% health, 50% mortar blast radius, and then we have plus 6 extra mortar ammo. So that's what comes down to 10 ammo in the mag. Okay, so for our second skill, I'm using the cluster seeker mine. That's really important to have because this is the thing which can kill multiple enemies, and this is what's gonna trigger the talent we have on our chest piece, the perfectly skilled talent. Because if this seeker mine, as you can see, we have a number of mines here, 10. So you can deploy 10 seeker mines in one go, and if any one of them can kill an enemy, which it will most of the time, and most of the mines will kill enemies, if not all of them, that talent in your chest piece will trigger, and it will keep resetting it. And same goes for the mortar. If you kill an enemy with your mortar, it's gonna reset your mine. So, from one to the other, it keeps switching off. So that's really good to have in this setup. Again, as for the base numbers, we got a 21-second cooldown, 238k health, damage is 3.1 million. These are again all base numbers and does not apply the buffs here. So that's really good to have. Again, we have a tier 6 cluster mine, so 60% damage and plus 6 cluster mines. So that's why we're getting 10 in total. As for the mods, again, all damage, as you can see here, 5% damage here as well, and then I have a plus 1 cluster mine just to have another one in there, right? So these are the skills I'm running. Okay, so before I show you the full overview for the whole build, I just want to go through the stats real quick, even though I did show you the stats for the skills that are most important. But the entire stat for the build, all the pieces all together and the attributes, as you can see here on our turret, it's a skill tier 6 turret, of course, and then we have 138% skill haste. Of course, that's an overkill. You don't need any more than 100%, right? So that's already an overkill. But then again, as I said, it's a lazy skill build where I want my skills to get back as fast as possible so I could keep spamming them over and over, right? So that's the goal here. That's why you're seeing 138% skill haste, 8-second cooldown, 390 duration, 6.6 million health. That's a huge chunk actually. So that way, even though it's a very underrated health attribute, but it does matter because when the enemies are trying to destroy it, they will take a whole longer than usual if it's that chunky. 6.6 million health, right? Then again, as a base number, 3.6 damage, 10 ammo, 6.8 blast radius. So these are really good numbers. Same thing for the seeker mine. Again, same skill tier 6 seeker mine. We have 138% skill haste, 21 cooldown, 238k health, 3.3 million damage. Again, that's a base number. It's gonna go way up high with all the buffs active. Again, 10 number of mines, 2 blast radius. These are insanely good numbers. So these are the stats for the whole build. Okay, so this is the full build, everyone. We are running the Demolitionist Specialization. As a primary, I'm running Scorpio, secondary, Test Subject, and as a pistol, I'm running TDI card custom, but you can run any pistol you want, but I would highly recommend running Future Perfect on it. Then for the gear pieces, we are running 3-piece Empress International. That's the mask, the chest piece, and the knee pads. Speaking of chest piece, it's a named chest piece called Caesar's God, which comes with Perfectly Skilled as a talent. For the gloves, I'm running a Wyvern piece to get that 10% skill damage from the brand bonus. For the backpack, I'm running a China Light named backpack, which comes with the talent Shock and Awe, so that's really good to have. And lastly, for the holster, I'm running an exotic one. It's called Waveform, which will give you insane buff in your skill damage for both your skills, right? So that's really good to have. And lastly, for the skills, of course, the Mortar turret. This is what this whole build is built around, so that's really important to have. And secondly, we have the Seeker Mines. So this is the whole build, everyone. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comment sections below. I will answer them as fast as possible. And please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos, and if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.